Hi, everyone. I'm Matt Clark, research analyst for Money and Markets, here with your weekly marijuana market update. And as I do all the time, I want to make sure I thank everyone who does watch our videos, who do watch our videos each and every week. The market's up, the market's down, but just know that Adam, Charles, and I, we've got your back. We're going to help you through it no matter what you're investing in. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel, get notified each and every time we post up a new video. And also, I'd encourage you to check out moneyandmarkets.com. On our website, you can search our proprietary stock power rating system. You can get the ratings for thousands of stocks. You'll see a breakdown of fundamental and technical ratings, which make up the overall stock rating. If you just go to moneymarkets.com, in the top right-hand corner, you'll see a little search bar. Just type in a ticker or company at the top in that little bar there. Then you'll be able to pull up its rating, stock chart, fundamental data, any analysis that we publish, and it's all right there at your fingertips. And you can also build your own watch list. You can track stock performance, and you can do all that on moneymarkets.com for free. Now, with today's marijuana market update, I'm going to talk about a new cannabis ETF that just hit the market and tell you whether it's a buy or whether it's one you might want to stay away from. Now, on 4/20, which is the International Cannabis Holiday, Roundhill Investments launched a new cannabis-related ETF. It trades under the ticker WEED, W-E-E-D, and it launched on the CBOE BZX exchange. Now, Roundhill cited recent projections that the global legal cannabis market could reach more than $61 billion in sales by 2026, as well as the state of legality of cannabis in the largest market in the world, the U.S. Of course, they're talking about states, not necessarily on the federal level. At launch, the ETF had 24 holdings and includes the ability to buy options on the ETF. Now, I want to take a deeper dive into WEED, the stock WEED, and compare it to other cannabis ETFs available on the market. So first, let's look at the thematic breakdown of the 24 holdings that are in WEED. Now, of those holdings, 63% are multi-state operators. This would be like Curaleaf Holdings and Trulieve. Another 21.5% are companies that are based in Canada, like Tilray and Canopy Growth Corporation. It also had 10.2% of its holdings listed as ancillary cannabis companies. This would be like Innovative Industrial Properties, which you've heard me talk about on our update before. And finally, about 0.9, less than 1% of WEED's holdings are labeled as international companies. We'll get to that here in just a second. So again, let's break down the nationalities of those holdings. It's actually pretty cut and dry. It's not nearly as broad, as narrowed down as you might think. 62.3% of all of its holdings are based in the US, 36.8% are in Canada, and its international holdings all come from just Britain, and that's 0.9%. So there's very little diversity internationally, but not really any more than any other cannabis ETF at this point. Most cannabis companies, most cannabis ETFs are kind of they're very related when it comes to their country breakdown of what they're invested in. Now, in terms of international flavor, there isn't much to WEED here. So if you're looking at it as one that could differentiate from other, either the pure cannabis ETF or the pure US cannabis ETF, really not a whole lot there that's going to make a difference. Now, let's look at let's break down the market capitalization of the holdings in WEED. WEED does have a bit more mid-cap stocks, which would be about $2 billion to $10 billion, than some of its competitors, with 63.4% of its holdings in that range. The remaining 36.6% are considered small cap, which would be less than a $2 billion market cap. So while a majority of public cannabis companies would be considered small cap, most ETFs aren't going to hold a lot of small cap stocks in their portfolio because of the increased risk. So there's not a lot of surprise here either for me. Now, I'm not going to go back and look at individual holdings for WEED and compare them to others on the market, but I did segment out a few. So here's a chart, a table I'll show you. I picked two random cannabis ETFs to compare because honestly, the holdings don't vary too much between the top 9 on the market right now. However, there are some differences in the percentage of these holdings that the holdings make up for in a particular portfolio. For example, 13% of WEED's portfolio comes from holding Curaleaf Holdings, while the ETF MG Alternative Harvest ETF, which is MJ, and the Advisor Shares Pure Cannabis ETF, which is YOLO, don't hold Curaleaf at all. All three hold Canopy Growth Corporation, but the percentages vary wildly, with 7.2% of MJ's holdings coming from Canopy, 5.13% of WEED, and just 3.35% of YOLO. From this, you can kind of tell the direction the ETF is going in terms of its investment strategy. WEED is looking at larger percentages from American-based MSOs. Then we can compare the management fees or expense ratios and the trailing returns of the 9 major cannabis ETFs currently trading on the market. The average expense ratio for a cannabis ETF is about 0.7%. And as you can see, Some are above that, and some are below. Now, what's of interest here is that Roundhill is waiving 0.16% of its expense fee on weed until April 30th, 2023. This means that for the next year, the expense ratio of weed is just 0.59%, putting it at the low end of cannabis ETFs. However, next year, that expense ratio is going to jump to 0.75%, making it one of the highest, but in line with a lot of the cannabis ETFs out there. In terms of trailing returns, cannabis ETFs are in decline all over the place during the last 3 months. Weed, which has not even been around for a month, is already down about 12.2%. So outside of waiving part of its management fee for a year, I don't see a lot special here in terms of weed at this point, but it's still very early in the ETF's existence. So if you're trying to decide on a cannabis ETF to invest in, the best approach is to see what the ETFs are holding and what the weight of each of those holdings are in the portfolio. That's going to give you a good indication as to the investment strategy of that ETF to see if it's more in line to what you're looking for. Are you looking for an ETF that invests only in American MSOs? Are you looking for something that's more broad? Are you looking for something that maybe have a little more international flavor? Those are all things you can find in digging into the holdings of each one of these ETFs. Weed is diversified a bit more than others with Weed Maps and Leafly in its portfolio, whereas few other ETFs in the space have allocated spots for those kind of stocks. So that is kind of interesting that they are looking into, they do have Weed Maps and Leafly in their portfolio, whereas most others do not. The idea here is to find an ETF that's more diversified so as not to have all its eggs into one basket per se. So is weed a buy? It's really hard to say. It's very, very new. It's going to suffer the same kind of headwinds that other cannabis ETFs are going to face. And right now, only being in for a month, it's already down as much, if not more, than other cannabis ETFs. And looking at those cannabis ETFs trailing 3-month returns, which are, again, they're all down. So you just kind of have to pick and choose what you decide to go into in terms of if you're looking at a cannabis ETF. There's 9 good ones out there that I found. There may be more. So any one of these 9 would do the trick. It just really kind of depends on what your strategy is and what you're looking to invest in terms of a cannabis ETF. So that's all for me this week. If you do have a question about the cannabis stock or maybe the broader market, email me. My email address you can reach me at is feedback@moneyandmarkets.com. We're going to flash that down below right here. Or you can comment below on our YouTube channel. Just send us a question. And if we use it, we're going to send you some cool Money and Markets gear like this t-shirt here or one like it. We've got hats, sweatshirts, a lot of other cool stuff that we'll send your way just for asking a question that we use on an upcoming video. Don't forget about all the great content we have here on our YouTube channel. It is the best investment insight and it is all yours for free. Follow me on Twitter. I'll give you even more insights, not just in the cannabis market, but the broader market, sports, all sorts of great stuff. You can find me on Twitter at @InvestWithMattC. That's Invest with Matt C, all one word. Thank you to everyone who watches our videos each and every week. We do it because we want to bring you the best insights, not just into cannabis, but into investing and give you a look into the economy and what it means for your portfolio. Also, check out Money and Markets each and every day for new content to provide safe, sound, smart, simple, profitable investment information for you. I also just launched our Stock Power Daily. Monday through Friday, we send you an email every day of one stock that rates in the top 10% of our Stock Power rating system. And you can get that at moneyandmarkets.com. I'm Matt Clark, research analyst for Money Markets, your host for the Marijuana Market Update. Until next time, everyone, safe trading.